Someone has been changing my marks. What a horrible place this is. It's not fair.
That's right. It's not fair. But that's only half of it.
This was a dead end a minute ago.
No, that's the dead end behind you.
It keeps changing. What am I supposed to do?
Well, the only way out of here is to try one of these doors.
One of them leads to the castle at the center of the labyrinth, and the other one leads to certain death.
Ooh. Which one is which?
We can't tell you.
Why not?
We don't know.
But they do.
Oh, then I'll ask them.
No, you can't ask us. You can only ask one of us. It's in the rules. And I should warn you that one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies. That's a rule too. He always lies.
I do not. I tell the truth.
Oh, what a lie.
He's the liar.
All right. Answer yes or no. Would he tell me that this door leads to the castle?
What do you think? Really, I don't know. Yes?
Then the other door leads to the castle and this door leads to certain death.
Oh.
How do you know? He could be telling the truth.
But then you wouldn't be. So if you told me that he said yes, I know the answer is no.
But I could be telling the truth.
But then he would be lying. So if you told me that he said yes, I know the answer would still be no.
Wait a minute. Is that right?
I don't know. I've never understood it.
No, it's right. I figured it out. I can never do it before. I think I'm getting smarter. It's a piece of cake.
A modern day remake of Matthew Vaughn's Lay a Kick. A Coen brothers end up with Timothy Chalamet. A Citizen Kane prequel, a Midnight Cowboy sequel. Alvin and the Chipmunks deserve another squeakquel. There's so many new ways to revisit Sideways, but a graphic novel is how we choose to update. But we still hold fast, you can't change the past on the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
On our last L episode, we talked about the 1970s satire The Landlord, starring Beau Bridges and directed by Hal Ashby. The film is about a young man who enters a new world with bad intentions, but is changed by the people he meets in his new life as their landlord. What we didn't discuss much on that episode were the numerous contributions made by the screenwriter Bill Gunn, who also wrote and directed Ganja and Hess just 3 years later. Born in Philadelphia in 1934, Gunn began his career in the entertainment industry as an actor in 1954, appearing in movies and on television shows like The Kaiser Aluminum Hour, Naked City, and The Outer Limits. Gunn was a fixture in Hollywood and would run in the same social circles as James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, and James Dean. In fact, Dean took quite an iconic photo of Gunn in 1950 called Billy Gunn with Stool. This was around the same time that Dean got his start as an actor, appearing in Pepsi ads, episodes of Hallmark Hall of Fame, and a number of other branded anthology programs. But his roles in Giant, Rebel Without a Cause, and East of Eden catapulted him to ultra fame, showcasing his range as an actor, charm, and mystique. And even though his talents were limited to the screen, he influenced a number of music icons. Without Dean, we may not have had Bob Dylan, Buddy Holly, or David Bowie. Born David Jones in Brixton area of London, Bowie began to explore music as a career in 1963, and it would only take him 4 years to rise to fame with the release of his self-titled album and its poppy single, Love You Till Tuesday. From then on, Bowie would release hit after hit, from Space Oddity to Starman to Heroes, the list goes on. And in the late 60s, Bowie began to dabble in acting in films, eventually leading to his first starring role as Thomas Jerome Newton in the 1976 feature The Man Who Fell to Earth. And though he would continue to act, it wouldn't be until 1986 that he breaks through with a true hit, which happens to be this week's film. Greetings, Starfighters. This is Ruined Childhoods. I'm John, and hey, there's my brother Dan. And on this episode, we're talking about Labyrinth, the story of a young girl who enters a new world with bad intentions, but is changed by the creatures she meets along the way to confront Jareth, the Goblin King. Dan, when you were 5.5 and I was born, did you ever wish for me to be taken away by the goblins?
No.
Cool.
I mean, not that I remember.
Not that you remember.
I mean, no offense, John. I really didn't care that much. Like, I didn't have to babysit you. I wasn't that old. You weren't like, getting in the way of like my social life.
Right.
I could still play with Star Wars toys. That was my social
And
life.
you did.
Yes.
And you did. Yeah. And, I mean,
Did you ever wish for me to be taken away by I mean, that road can go two ways.
That's a good question. Because I
Probably.
probably saw Labyrinth not when it first came out. I would have been a little too young, but I'm sure that it was on VHS playing at the house when I was a little kid. No, you don't think so?
This was not a, like, I don't think, this might have been my first time seeing the whole thing. Beginning to end.
Just because it was maybe your first time seeing it from beginning to end, it doesn't mean that it wasn't entered into my consciousness. Granted, most of the things I saw as a kid were because you were watching them, but I feel like this one was one that I had seen a few times as a kid.
Eventually, yeah. No, it also, like, this movie was not a hit when it came out.
It was not a hit when it came out. No. It was
I had no interest in
critical. Yeah, it was a critical failure, and it was a box office, not super success.
Right.
But it is a technical triumph.
Yeah.
And has certainly not even stood the test of time, but it ages really well. And it is most definitely a cult classic.
I think it's much easier to appreciate it in hindsight. I could imagine at the time seeing it, and if I was older, seeing it and just being like, what the hell? What even is this? Why am I watching this? But watching it with that, and I'm not saying like it's only, I can't say I love this movie. Like, I like it. It's fun. It's fine. But there are definitely moments where I'm like, okay, when's the next David Bowie song?
Oh, you wanted to go forward to the next David Bowie song, because I feel like those are some of the moments that lag the most.
Oh, no, not for me. Okay. It wasn't, it was more just it wasn't like, oh, the story's being, progressed by these songs. It's more just like I feel like it came to life a bit more, and it's a movie that like I just said, this might have been my first time watching it beginning, middle, and end. It wasn't my first time trying.
Okay.
And I know in the past I just tried watching it and just lost interest really easily with it.
Well, I'm wondering, because I know that you watched it with your 11-year-old. What did she think?
She liked it.
Okay. Which is surprising. She's not like a big on movies kind of kid.
No, but she's not big on actually sitting down and committing to watch the movie. But once she does, she tends to like it. So I was surprised, because this also, she's not as much into fantasy.
Right.
So this wasn't, I was a little surprised, but yeah, she made it through.
Well, my kid, who's 8, this is one of her favorites.
Yeah.
And it's only become maybe her second favorite now that she's seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I think that it's a testament to the kind of magic that this film creates and the characters and the world that it's built, that I think transcends the story and maybe some of the things that didn't feel as fast paced, because you are, I don't know, constantly being introduced to new and fun puppets. And when I watched it for this viewing, for this podcast, I actually think that I liked it more than I had ever liked it before, even though there were some times where it was a little slow. And we'll kind of get to some of those scenes probably as we talk about it more. But I don't know. And it's funny because like you were saying, like you're talking about the David Bowie songs, you wanted to get to them. And I felt like those are some of the slowest moments, except for Dance Magic Dance.
Right.
Because of course that one is a total bop and everybody loves it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think maybe had I seen this at the right age to see it, and when this movie came out, I would have been like, I would have been 8 going on 9.
Yep. Totally the right age range for this movie.
But this was not a movie that I went to go see. This was not, I think by the time 86, first of all, there was a long time where I really just didn't like going to the movies as a little kid.
Really?
Oh yeah. 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 Like things were like scary, or like there were other kids, and we have another, we do have an episode kind of on the way during which this will come up. So
okay, all right,
Yeah.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I will say a movie that we will have coming up soon.
Yeah.
I watched yesterday with my daughter, and there were times where it was very scary for her, but at the end just raved about how much she loved it.
right. Well, no,
We'll get to that when we get to that, but
Yeah,
I think it's a different movie than what you're talking about.
Oh, I mean, quite possibly, I guess, because I think, we have a few coming up that would kind of fit in that category.
Right.
But the one I'm talking about came out when I was younger.
We'll get to it when we get to it. I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
I didn't. So had I seen this, I think I was beyond it at that point. Like, I'm trying to think of the movies that I was interested in seeing in 1986, and like The Three Amigos is, or just Three Amigos. Sorry, there's no "the" in the title.
There's no "the." What's funny is when you were talking about not seeing in the theater, I was just like, what 1986 movies would Dan have been into? And the only movie that came to mind was Three Amigos.
Yep.
Which is just like silly and ridiculous, and there's nothing scary about it. Even though there's lots of gun fighting, there's nothing scary about it. And even like the bad guys are so silly and goofy and weird.
Yeah.
That even though they're covered in filth and everything, and they're bad guys,
it's completely ridiculous. Funny. There's at least 25% of the jokes that I didn't get until watching it at a much older age.
Right.
And, but it's one, I'm trying to think like what else in 1986 that I don't think I was as into the Police Academy movies at that point, to have gone to see Police Academy 3. I remember friends telling me about going to see Crocodile. I don't even remember friends going to see this movie. Like, I remember knowing kids who like saw Police Academy 3 in the theater, or saw like Crocodile Dundee or Top Gun.
Yeah.
But the Golden Child.
Say also, like the title of the film, Labyrinth, I feel like when you compare it to other movies of the genre, The Never-Ending Story.
Right.
The Never-Ending Story,
right.
The title itself just feels more approachable than a title like Labyrinth, where it's just like, how do I even spell this? Not that people were like Googling things in 1986, but like, how do I search for this? It's a weird word. I feel like I've heard it before. Oh, it means like maze, basically. Okay, cool. Got it. But like,
I mean, I think mainly it's kind of like if you knew, like if you got one of those, like the wooden, like Labyrinth toys.
Totally.
Not movie tie-in toys.
Right.
But just like the wooden, like maze that you guide a little marble through.
Yeah. I wonder if they ever did release a movie tie-in version of that, like, you turn the knobs and it moves the marble
like
through,
a Labyrinth,
which is impossible,
Labyrinth.
and nobody's ever literally done it ever.
No. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think so. I'll do a little, on the spot research here, but I don't remember.
I can tell you it's not going to show up in the Wikipedia page, because that is a very thorough rundown of all the things that have been done, and that's not one of them, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I'm just like, were there any movie tie-ins other than, of course, like comic book adaptations.
Well, I think that like later on,
Right.
there were things like Todd McFarlane, I think is that his name? The guy
The
who
Spawn.
does all the
Spawn.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's like figurines of Jareth and everything, but
So there
aside
was a computer game for the Commodore 64 that was kind of like a role-playing text-based game.
like the beginning of Big.
Exactly.
Yeah. So by the way, I just saw some articles that Commodore is back. Like there was a group of people who like purchased the company essentially and are releasing new Commodore stuff. And I think that the idea is that it will evoke the nostalgia of a Commodore computer, which we had growing up. We did not have the Labyrinth game.
We had the VIC-20 and the Commodore 64.
I only remember the Commodore 64.
The VIC-20 might have been like you were either an infant or like that was that was the first computer. Yeah, well, I see that they've been selling like these kind of like I guess retro like simulators. Commodore 64 is like basically a game console that looks like a Commodore 64.
Yeah, and we got one of those, or I got one of those for our brother Scott. I don't know if he's ever plugged it in, but there's a Wired article that came out July 20th. This is the Commodore comeback fans have waited for, but the odds are still against it. Ooh. So there's like a big chunky clear plastic keyboard with big knobby keys, and there's like colorful LED lights inside of it and everything.
So it's kind of like a Commodore for the 90s.
Well, but that's the thing is like, it's not trying to do a modern day thing. It's trying to appeal to like gamer culture, but also nostalgia culture.
So kind of like what would have been the next step if Commodore had continued making, like picking up where they left off.
I don't know. I did not read this article. I just saw it right now, but oh, you're skimming through it. Okay.
I'm skimming through it.
So I think that there's a lot to be curious about there.
It's a Commodore 64 Ultimate.
Yeah.
So lots of different editions, but yeah, but no, we did not. And we had a lot of games on that Commodore 64. I remember having like floppy disks full of various games.
We had like a Temple of Doom one.
We had Temple of Doom. Well, there were the games that were purchased, and I'm trying to remember.
There was like Qbert.
Well, because there were also the game. I feel like we had a computer after the Commodore 64 that I had games like the 1989 Batman and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, like movie games, which were really fun. I remember I have very fond memories, but I feel like that was
we never had like Nintendos or Ataris.
No.
It was always something where it's like, it's got to at least have like a word processor on it.
Right. Yeah. Like at the very beginning, it was like we could play the educational games, like Spinnaker, the educational games.
Whoa, Spinnaker.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And Spinnaker, man.
Maybe Math Blaster was on there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure we had Mavis Beacon, but never used it. But I don't remember if this was when we moved from Commodore to PCs. So, but there were some really fun games, movie tying. I remember having Ghostbusters. I think that was almost definitely for the Commodore 64, the Ghostbusters game.
I don't remember that one as much as I remember Temple of Doom.
The Temple of Doom, yeah, with the whip and like
the whip.
And of course, Temple of Doom was the arcade game was phenomenal for Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
But Labyrinth we did not have.
But Labyrinth we didn't have, and I'd be curious to see. I should call our brother Scott and see if he's first of all ever plugged the thing in. Second, if he still has it, and then third, if he does have it, is Labyrinth on there? Because I am very curious to know what that Labyrinth game is like. It's probably just, going through a maze, typing in commands, and that's it.
I mean, it really said, like you mentioned, like the game at the beginning of Big.
Right.
Just from reading the description of the game, that is
Yeah.
what it sounds like. I mean, we know that at the beginning of Big, it's not, there's like an ice cave or something, if I remember correctly. So
Well, yeah, you got to melt the wizard.
right, yeah, melt the wizard. Right. So it's not. We
Right.
know that they're not playing Labyrinth, but it does seem very similar.
That would be fascinating, though, if like in Big they're I mean, the timeline would completely match up.
Yeah.
Filmed in 87.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No.
so yeah, not a successful film critically at the box office, but certainly ambitious. And this is, of course, following The Dark Crystal, which Jim Henson co-directed with Frank Oz, and is an amazing, again, cult classic because it did not do well.
Yeah. It's an actual cult classic.
Actual cult classic.
Actually gained a cult following.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, just had a TV series sequel, and I was watching have you ever seen the movie, the Ron Howard documentary, the Jim Henson Idea Man documentary?
No, I have not seen it.
It's really fantastic. Jim Henson, complicated guy, not winning Dad of the Year for sure. But has certainly set up all of his kids for like amazingly successful careers, especially with, you know, all of the different Jim Henson Creature Shop productions and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
But, what it was really showcasing was how, you know, Jim Henson didn't set out intending to be like a children's entertainer or even a puppeteer. Like that's just something that he fell into.
Right.
And he really was an experimental filmmaker and wanted to do all of these grand experiments. And, I think that a lot of that shows in The Dark Crystal, which originally did not even have any English language in it. It was all in like this made up language, and test audiences immediately rejected it. And then they're just like, oh, we have to write something that matches what the mouth movements are because we're not reshooting this thing.
Right.
And it's amazing that it is watchable at all with that in mind. You know, following that up with Labyrinth, which is, you know, introducing live action combined with puppets, and especially with a super successful entertainer, what could possibly go wrong?
If I could break in with just a quick return to movies I saw in the theater in 1986.
Oh, okay.
Well, just as I'm reviewing, like, you know, kind of what else was out in the theater along with Labyrinth, I did see Karate Kid Part 2 in the theater.
Oh, okay.
And that was big at the box office at that time. Back to School was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I didn't see any of those in the theater, but
right,
too young.
Yeah. I will say I know that I saw one particular movie in 1985 in the theaters. My first movie in the theaters, Follow That Bird.
Yep.
Another
Jim Henson.
Not he
Jim
didn't
Henson
direct
joint.
that one, but was
certainly involved.
Certainly involved. There was a really funny moment in the Jim Henson documentary where they were talking about how, I think it was right before he got involved with Children's Television Workshop and like really creating Sesame Street. He had this idea, like I was saying, experimental filmmaker. He had this idea to open up nightclubs where there would be this like walls and the ceiling would have all of these different angles to them, and there'd be all these projections going on them at the same time of like all this weird experimental filmmaking stuff. And he was just intending to make, and it was like nightclub was just the right kind of thing to do that in. And everyone was just like so glad that he did Sesame Street instead of this thing that definitely would have tanked. And I think that the world as a whole would agree with that. I mean, the ways in which we've all been shaped by Sesame Street. I mean, you can't calculate the impact that it's had.
No, because public television is invaluable.
100%.
and can still save it. I'm looking through the Jim Henson page because I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, how did Jim Henson not connect like him and Andy Warhol? Like, how did the two what would have like the two of them must not have gotten like ever collaborated, because like I feel like that would have been wonderful for Jim Henson. Or
Jim Henson, he didn't do drugs, so there's that.
Yeah, but
maybe,
maybe
he turned down party invitations.
Possibly, yeah. He didn't do drugs, but he was, also involved in, like, didn't shy away from drug environments. He was part of the first season of Saturday Night Live.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I guess with Andy Warhol, and Jim Henson was predominantly in New York.
Yeah.
He was in New York and then also in London for a big chunk of his early career. And, it's possible also that Jim Henson was just too busy working and too busy doing stuff by the time that he was established enough for him to have been on Andy Warhol's radar. I think he was probably just too busy.
I guess where I would have put it would have been right around as he's like creating Sesame Street in the late 60s. That's kind of like the time where, all right, Henson's clearly working in New York at this time. He's, he's doing creative work. So I can't imagine that their paths never crossed, and perhaps even that, like, you might have a point there where perhaps for them to have not like connected in a way that would be noted on his Wikipedia page, at least.
Right.
Maybe he did avoid that. Maybe he was like, that's not my scene. And
right. Yeah. And I know that he had kids very young. So for whatever time he did have, I think that he did attempt to, parent, along with his incredibly influential wife of many, many years. And I know that when things started to take off is when he went out to London, because London is where the Muppet Show was all happening. So I think that a lot of what he was doing was just not in New York, and then was flying back and forth and was probably like just did not have time to socialize and go out to events or anything. So anyway, not to kind of make up some sort of mythology about like why he and Andy Warhol never hung out.
it feels,
and they could have, but it just might not have been photographed.
I guess I think about Henson, like you said, like definitely having that more of like artistic experimental bent, working in New York in the mid to late 60s.
Right.
But yeah, and I you know what, I didn't even realize that the Muppet Show was filmed in England. I just always assumed.
Okay, I just did a quick search for Jim Henson, Andy Warhol, and in 1985, we have a video on YouTube. Jim Henson greets Andy Warhol at the 1985 Henson Company masked ball in New York City. So they interacted.
Right.
We can confirm that. So, and here's something on Instagram. Andy Warhol attending Jim Henson's third annual masked ball.
See, this sounds like...
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
At the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, the event was held in the Starlight Room, and the theme for the evening was inspired by Henson's latest film he was working on at the time, Labyrinth. Specifically, the scene planned for Jareth and Sarah's big masquerade ball in the film. Andy with his +1 artist Richard Bernstein, who did the cover art for Interview magazine, wearing a mask of Andy made by Bernstein. Jim Henson with a guest wearing a mask of himself. That's just the photos in this Instagram post.
Wow. So interesting. It sounds like good material for like what would be a fringe festival play, like a, when Andy met Jim type thing, and just
totally
like what would have happened if the two of them worked on a project together, like right as Sesame Street. It's 1969. Henson is burnt out from developing Sesame Street. Warhol's recovering from being shot. I don't remember when he was shot, but I actually think it was before that. But, and one magical evening, two creative minds come together.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of when
Fringe Festival.
Timepiece. When did he do Timepiece? Because Timepiece was Jim Henson's short film. It was nominated for an Oscar. This was before any of the, it was 1965 is when he did Timepiece. And I feel like there's also a lot of like Timepiece stuff that comes into play in Labyrinth, and you see a lot of other works. I mean, the ticking clock, of course, comes into play in Labyrinth. And Dan, we're already 28 minutes into this bad boy. Why don't you give a little synopsis?
As I'm looking through, I'm like, what is this? The Cube that Jim Henson made? I'm like, man.
Oh, it's wild. And you should watch Jim Henson Idea Man, because they talk about that quite a bit. And also the way that the interviews are set up for that is inside this cube that this film is, doing.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
Perfect. All right, here we go. So let's talk about Labyrinth here. After a seemingly meaningless and desperate plea to what she thought were fictional goblins from a storybook, teenager Sarah's wish comes true, and the Goblin King Jareth arrives to kidnap her baby brother. But when he presents Sarah with the option of giving him either baby Toby or access to her dreams, she impulsively opts to give him Toby, a decision she quickly regrets. Transported to the Goblin Kingdom, Sarah now has 13 hours to solve Jareth's labyrinth, or else Toby will be permanently transformed into a goblin. Along with a team of helpful new creature friends, Sarah is determined to find her way through the labyrinth, rescue Toby from Jareth, and bring him safely back to the real world. Playing Sarah, we have Jennifer Connelly. Playing Jareth, David Bowie. Brian Henson played, I forgot that I didn't write down the name of who's the name of the Ogle or Boogle or Boggle? Hoggle, thank you. Hoggle. We have Brian Henson there. Of course, the magnificent talents of Frank Oz. Screenplay credited to Terry Jones with contributions by Elaine May, George Lucas, etc. And of course, directed by Jim Henson.
Yeah, executive produced by George Lucas, and that was kind of like a big deal. And it seemed like he was on the set quite a bit.
Well, I mean, and they had been collaborating. I think Empire Strikes Back was when they started collaborating mainly on the Yoda puppet. And
yeah, you know what? I was actually trying to look up information about the Jim Henson Creature Shop. Work on Star Wars, and I feel like there's some characters like Salacious Crumb seems very, Henson-y and stuff. And I didn't see a lot, but I know that George Lucas had talked to Jim Henson about voicing Yoda, and that's when Henson was just like, I'm too busy, but you should get Frank Oz. And then, but can you imagine if Yoda had like the Kermit voice, which is like Jim Henson's real voice?
Do or do not. There is no try.
No, like, doesn't work.
Frank Oz, I mean, is perfect. And of course, Yoda's voice is Grover's voice. They just kind of speak with a different pattern, but it's the same exact voice.
Oh, hey, worth noting that speaking of the George Lucas connection, also making appearances in the film are R2-D2 himself, Kenny Baker, and Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis, yeah.
Needs
just a couple of goblins.
Introduction.
Yeah. I feel like they're probably just the ones that have like masks on and stuff, and
I think they're around in the ball scene, but it's still pretty cool. Another feather in Warwick Davis's cap.
Oh my god. And what a cap that is.
Seriously. Yeah.
So Dan, I was trying to figure out for myself where I landed on this, and I'm curious where you land on this. Do you think that this takes place in a dream, or is this being told as like a real thing that's happening?
I think it's a dream. Okay. I have a feeling that this is not the first time this has happened.
What's happened?
Oh, that this has happened. I get the sense that all right, so there is, and this is not in the way of suggesting like a spin-off on this, but there is a lot of background here that really just gets hinted at, especially in terms of Sarah, her relationship to her mother,
right? Stepmother.
No, I mean her biological mother.
Oh, her biological mother.
Who only appears in pictures, who we know that she is, and it is hinted at that she's an actress, that her mother is an actress, which explains why when we first meet Sarah, she's reciting lines from this book of the goblins, the lines that she ends up saying later in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
And her mother is, you see pictures of her, you see like scrapbooks, and she's actually in with David Bowie. Right. I don't know if it's David Bowie meant to be David Bowie or just,
I don't
it's
think
like,
so.
this is, no. I don't get the impression that it's like, here's, Sarah's mom with pop star David Bowie. It's more like this actor, this other, I feel like he's this other actor that she has left the family for.
Right.
This is just what I've put together by watching and I watched it a couple of times and kind of like, it's kind of like, because there were moments where I paused and I was like, wait a second, is that David Bowie? And then there's things that say like mom on it, and she, like the scrapbook especially.
Right. Yeah.
So, because at first I was like, wait, did her mother die? What? Why is the mother not there?
The thing is, the mother and the father were about to get divorced, but she died first. Oh wait, no, that's Nick of Time.
Oh, right. And of course, Sarah still has all of that trauma from being trapped in the van with Roma Mafia.
Yeah. Please listen to our episode on Nick of Time.
Please do.
Yeah, I for a second I was like, wait a second, we're recording these all out of order. I have to do the alphabet backwards because this season I'm just like, where is that? Okay,
we've done Nick of Time already, and but no, the conclusion that I come to, and just seems to make the most sense, is that Sarah's mother left her family, and that Sarah is still kind of clinging to that, is clinging to that sense of of having a mother, having somebody, because her stepmother, we get enough to sense that she does not have a nurturing relationship. Like she and her stepmother do not have that type of bond.
The little that we get with her and her stepmother, she's out at the park, she's reciting these lines from this goblin story, and she realizes, oh no, I'm late to go babysit my half brother, baby Toby. And she gets back and her stepmother's there and she's all pissed at her because they were about to go out. And she's like, we never go out. And she's like, you always go out. And
every weekend.
Yeah, I know, which is kind of messed up.
Which is why I think this happens. That's why I think every weekend, this is how Sarah deals with this. And because also, I mean, spoiler alert, the movie,
this has been out for a really long time.
Right. The movie ends with she's frolicking with the happy creatures.
Okay. So here's where I want to posit my theory, because I don't think this is a dream. I do think that this is a world that has been created from her imagination. I do think that there's some sort of magic going on. And we know from seeing her bedroom, there is a labyrinth in it. There is an M.C. Escher print on her wall. We see the books, The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland. I think there's a Grimm's fairy tales. There's Where the Wild Things
Are. Yeah.
There's all of these little, there's a little,
aren't there little stuffies of some of the creatures?
There's some the things that look like some of the creatures. There is also a music box thing with a ballerina, but it looks like her when she's in the ballroom thing.
Right.
So there's the thing that makes this different from stories like The Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland is there's no moment where she's falling asleep or anything like that. She's awake she's conscious the whole time. Because I was watching it right before we started recording because I was like, all right, I gotta like see where the seams would be. And there's no moment where she dozes off. There's not even a moment where she even like blinks enough for it to be considered something that's, not actually happening. So this is, I think, a fantasy movie that transcends, that kind of blends the real world with a world created, like a magical world created by her imagination and the things in her life that have been, I guess, influencing her. And yes, of course, she is going through a difficult time with her family, but I think that, like, yeah, maybe her way of processing it is with this, and whether it is real or imagined, I don't think that she's asleep. I don't think it's a dream, because also within this world that's going on, she does fall asleep. She does have that kind of like fever dream ballroom sequence after eating the like poison peach. And so there is also what you were saying earlier. There's this moment at the end where the goblins appear in her bedroom, and it ends with them all partying together. And that to me means like, oh no, this is really happening. I mean, in the world of the movie, this is really happening. I mean, yeah. So anyway, that's just kind of where I sit with it, because of course it would make sense for this to be all taking place in a dream, but it's like, this is a Jim Henson production.
Or in her head.
They don't. Or well, I mean, that's a whole other situation.
Not necessarily a dream, but like I don't think it's real.
Well, here's the thing. If we think about some other Jim Henson productions, the rules of the real world don't apply. On Sesame Street, there is a goblin who lives in a trash can. We have a snuffleupagus mammoth situation that begins in a gigantic bird's imagination and then is real and part of the community. We do have.
Wait, I thought he was real the whole time. It was just that he was never. It was just like inconvenient timing.
It was inconvenient timing, exactly.
And then all of a sudden, Big Bird was like, "Snuffy, why don't you just show up when other people are around?" And they're like,
hey,
"Oh,
you're making me look like an asshole here, buddy."
Yeah, like you weren't kidding. See, I told you guys.
Yeah.
By the way, just non sequitur. I cannot. The new Big Bird voice.
It's not. Yeah.
He sounds nasally and whiny. Carol Spinney was full of joy.
Carol Spinney, absolute legend.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I follow that bird into hell and back.
Ooh, hell yeah. So that said, we can also talk about the Muppets. We live in a world where it is accepted that there are these animals living amongst humans, and nobody questions it.
Right.
So I posit that in the world of Labyrinth, this is a blending of universes together into the real world.
But it's not like
don't
the
think
mother.
It's a dream.
But it's not like the stepmother is like, now, Sarah, I'm warning you this week, if you let the Goblin King kidnap him again, like that I'm taking away your books.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking, is that perhaps this is the first time this is happening.
Well, yeah, I also think that, and as was alluded to earlier, the script went through a number of incarnations, and even Terry Jones was on record as saying that like the final product wasn't really what he had in mind, but also like Henson had something else in mind, and he had it's actually very cool. If you go on Henson.com, they have the Jim's Red Book. Jim Henson's like scans from his notes,
right?
Like his journal. Cool. So there's like sketches. There's like Labyrinth sketches from 1983 in there. And there's notes about how he had asked the writer, the original writer, I want to say it was Dennis Lee, to kind of write a novella. Dennis Lee, he wrote the lyrics for songs on Fraggle Rock, and he was the Canadian poet laureate. In fact, Dennis Lee,
really,
who, like, wrote a poetic novella and then that was going to be drafted by Terry Jones and Laura Phillips. Terry Jones said he kind of just scrapped the novella and went with and just kind of like, you know, went with his own thing. And like they'd hired him because I think Heather Henson had, or one of the Henson, maybe it was Jane Henson, had read the script for Eric the Viking. And
I don't know why I didn't just look up in the index of Miss May Does Not Exist, the definitive biography of Elaine May written by past Ruined Childhood's guest Carrie Corrigan.
Yes.
From our Ishtar episode. Because I do wonder what kind of contributions came into it from an Elaine May.
I listened to the audiobook version of that and do not recall a single thing said about Labyrinth.
Page 203. So let's see. Okay. Okay, Charles Grodin.
A lot about Charles Grodin.
So what were some of the projects she did like over the years? Bill Murray, who professed she saved my life on numerous occasions professionally, came to her for help with What About Bob? While Jim Henson had her do a quick polish on Labyrinth. Warner Brothers tried to get her to do a rewrite on Jonathan Demme's. That's the only mention of it.
That's it.
Interesting. I didn't know that she helped out with Ghostbusters too. That's fun.
There are some clever lines
on
in
Labyrinth.
There. Yeah.
That's the only mention of Labyrinth is a quick polish.
Yeah. A quick polish.
But check out Miss May Does Not Exist, available at your local bookstore and on all of the online retailers. Carrie is an awesome writer, and we hope to have her back on the show. That'd be really fun. I don't know.
That would be
she's probably
great.
very busy writing her next book.
I mean, yeah, we haven't. We still have some. There are plenty more. I mean, not that Carrie is exclusive to Elaine May films, but
right.
That is certainly her area of expertise. And just and I mean, just to put in there, like, yeah, what a great, like, if you are interested in arts and entertainment, period, like that book and this Elaine May's story, which continues. Like hearty recommendation for that book.
Absolutely.
But don't go looking for a lot of information about Labyrinth in there because you won't get it.
No, I guess not. Yeah. I wonder if there's anything that just was too uninteresting to include. Include? Include.
But
did I say unclude?
Unclude.
Is that the act of not including something? Or the act of removing something?
Well, that would be
including?
Excluding it would be leaving it out. But
including is removing it.
I will go on the record and I will. Where's my gavel? I'm going to rule this. Oh, hold on a second. I think I have a socket wrench here. Here's.
Oh.
Uncluding means when you reverse the decision to include something.
There you go. It makes sense to me.
Carrie could have uncluded the mention of Labyrinth and it would have not diminished the quality of that book whatsoever. But she kept it in. Great.
I Googled the word unclude and it says, did you mean include?
No, we meant unclude.
Anyway,
I haven't updated the world yet. We just made this decision. And
I was curious to know if it was already out there.
No, but by the power granted, vested in me by
the wrench,
Washington, by Seattle Public Schools.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
So Labyrinth.
Yes.
We've gotten 46 minutes to it. I feel like we've hardly even scratched the surface on.
We've included so much.
We've included so much.
No, we haven't though. We haven't
even.
But what I mean, really, like, I feel like in terms of the movie itself, like, it's pretty straightforward. I think we've kind of tackled the complexities of it, the abstract nature of her back, like what's going on with Sarah. Is this real? Is this imaginary? Inconclusive. So,
inconclusive?
No, it is inconclusive because it's not like we've concluded it and then decided.
Well, no, it's not.
to.
It's not out there. But and we'll talk about this more very soon. But I do wonder because I haven't read any of the subsequent, books or graphic novels, comics, anything like that. Because maybe there's something that's technically canon that gives us a little bit more information. But that said, I feel like we haven't talked at all about any of the creatures. We talked a little bit about Hoggle, voiced by Brian Henson, and also and this was in Idea Man, Jim Henson went to his son, Brian, who was interested in animatronics and basically said, I want to have there be this character that has this head that, everything kind of moves independently, and to do it with animatronics would be really interesting. Mm-hmm. Develop a way to make that happen. And Hoggle has this very expressive face that is being controlled independently by a couple of different puppeteers, Brian Henson being one of them. And I didn't even realize that Brian Henson did the voice for Hoggle until I was, reading about it afterward. You wouldn't expect that to be him. But Brian Henson also plenty of other experience, including one of Frank Oz's other works, which is Little Shop of Horrors. He was one of the main puppeteers on Audrey 2.
Yeah.
So
here's my question with Hoggle. So I don't know if you noticed this, but when Sarah first meets him and she's having trouble remembering his name, she calls him Hogwart.
I looked it up to see if there's anything about J.K. Rowling, who, as we have come to find out, is not an original, she doesn't have very many original thoughts. And,
right.
People have basically said, like, she hasn't straight up said, I got this from Labyrinth. I think that there's some sort of plant called a hogwort that she claims she got it from, but whatever. But
yeah,
I mean, it's fantasy.
It's so
works. It's
so it's so close, and I have a hard time believing that there's no connection.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the incredible puppetry creations from the movie, because there are certain things in here where it's just like, man, that's so cool. I love how they did that. And I'm thinking a lot about, like, when she's going down that pit of all of the arms and hands, and there's like the faces made with the hands.
Yeah.
And
that
it's
was
so cool. I think
cool.
that might be like my favorite puppetry in it are those characters.
Yeah.
Were there any standouts for you?
No, I mean that was pretty much it. It was. I always prefer like live, tangible puppets, and this goes back to the whole Star Wars thing. Is that I love just kind of the idea that these creatures are real. Was there anything that really stood out to me? No. I still, Bowie.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't think as much about like the technical artistry that goes into it while I'm watching it. I mean, after the fact, it's like, oh yeah, no, that they had to innovate a lot, and like, yeah, wow, they really had to do a lot. But while I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not apologizing, but
that's fine.
I don't
have to love this movie.
I don't have a ton of enthusiasm for it, and that takes nothing. It has nothing to do with the movie. That has to do with me, and just this is not necessarily like my go-to genre. Like, there are definitely fantasy movies that I really like. I've professed my love for The Dark Crystal before, right. And I think maybe what I prefer about The Dark Crystal is that it's just entirely in this fantasy world.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I know that like Jim Henson had like there were a lot of things that he came away from Dark Crystal saying like, all right, well, in my next film, which I think he knew was going to be Labyrinth, I want to have more interaction between characters.
Yeah.
I want to have more of that, not have where we film the whole thing and then realize we have to write all the dialogue like you mentioned earlier.
Well, something that I think is actually really cool about Jim Henson is that, when it comes to creativity in the film and television world, try and think of a better name than Jim Henson. And the way that he has had an impact on so much, but his stuff didn't always hit. And that's something that's really cool about him, is that it's not like he was a guaranteed hit maker all of the time. And certainly, literally everything that he's done of any significance has had a cult following, is still remembered, whether it's, fondly or at least with a curiosity that's out there. I mean, we're covering Labyrinth right now, so there's that.
And people will always be watching Labyrinth, and it's a generational thing. And people will introduce it to their children, and they'll watch it at parties and it goes to screenings. Mm-hmm. It's not a movie that
I programmed it when I was programming for a theater. And we were doing a run of David Bowie movies, and
of course,
the Labyrinth one might have been the most full theater we had.
Of course. Well, you're not going to take your kids to The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Well, that's true. I don't even remember if there were that many kids at the Labyrinth screening, because it just like there's a big nostalgia factor for it. Yeah, and I don't know. They got really lucky casting Jennifer Connelly.
Right, well, Jennifer Connelly
would go on to, be in such amazing things later, and
Academy
really
Award
showcase
winner.
her talents.
Not for nothing. I mean,
not for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, for a Beautiful Mind, but but also gave brilliant performances. Like, let's not forget Requiem for a Dream. Also, House of Sand and Fog, which is a lesser known film, but if you haven't seen House of Sand and Fog, excellent. Before this, her only film was, I think, Once Upon a Time in America.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Or if
I have, it hasn't been recently.
Long crime drama starring Robert De Niro and James Woods about Jewish gangsters.
I know the movie, but I don't know if I've actually ever seen it.
I watched it again not too long ago. I watched part of it again not too long ago. It's it is what it is. So,
well, Dan, before we talk about how we would revisit Labyrinth, I do want to kind of cruise through, and I'm just going to basically do the bullet point version of Wikipedia's of their list. But there have been, it says, a number of books based on Labyrinth. The Goblins of Labyrinth, which was published in 1986. And then they did a deluxe expanded 20th anniversary in 2006. There was a novelization of the film, which I looked for but couldn't find, written by A.C.H. Smith. And then that was... and who also did the Dark Crystal. Mm-hmm. And then that was reprinted with illustrations and notes and things like that. There's the Labyrinth, the storybook, Labyrinth, the photo album with photos taken from set, and other tie-in stuff with a read-along storybook that it came with a 7-inch, 33.5 RPM record or a cassette tape.
Oh, yeah.
We had plenty of those, but not for Labyrinth.
No.
2019, there was Labyrinth, A Discovery Adventure, which is a hidden picture book. And then there's Labyrinth, the ABC storybook. There's so many. Labyrinth, Straight to the Castle, interactive pop-up book.
Labyrinth, the flamethrower.
It's incredible that they're still making these. Labyrinth, Goodnight Goblin King, a bedtime storybook. Labyrinth, Bestiary, an in-universe guidebook. So... like, there's so much additional content. You mentioned the video game, Commodore 64 and Apple II. Then there was in 2022, virtual game Walkabout Mini Golf, and there's an add-on that's Walkabout Mini Golf Labyrinth, with features a 36-hole mini golf course set in the world of Labyrinth. VR, I would do that. I haven't done really much VR at all, but I would definitely do that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to cut to it, that was kind of one of my ideas, was not a mini golf, but
well, Dan, I'm not done. But I do want to mention, if you're looking for a cool fantasy mini golf course and you happen to be out in Portland, Oregon, check out Wonderwood, my buddy Mike Bennett's fantasy mini golf course. That's a lot of fun and connected with Wonderwood Springs, which is a cafe that he has next door. Marvel published a 3-issue comic book adaptation of Labyrinth. So, hello, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Get Jareth the Goblin King teamed up with Captain America or something. Tokyo published a manga-style 4-volume comic between 2006 and 2010 called Return to Labyrinth.
I would love to see Doctor Strange and Jareth.
There is a Doctor Strange connection that we're going to get to in a second.
Okay.
So in 2011, there's announced a prequel graphic novel about Jareth, which is a very tragic story featuring teenage Jareth. And it was said that Brian Froud, who is the designer who kind of created the world that Henson teamed up with first on Dark Crystal, which is kind of just like the concept designer for everything, whose son, Toby, is Toby.
And by the way, sorry, while we're on Toby, John, in your opinion, did he bear a resemblance to another cinematic baby from a movie that
Ghostbusters 2, Oscar?
Yes, he totally looked like Oscar. And I would have been like, I had a moment, is it the same? But like, it couldn't have been.
No, wouldn't have lined up. But Toby Froud lives here in Portland, Oregon, and have
you been able to find him?
We have not. Well, I sent a request on LinkedIn, but here's the thing: we have a lot of mutual friends.
Oh,
and including one Katie McClenahan, who is a puppeteer here in Portland, who we've known for a very long time. And Toby Froud also did work on the Dark Crystal series, and worked on the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio as an stop motion animator here with Shadowbox Studios. And so Toby Froud, like, continuing on with work in the world. I mean, clearly he has the connection through his father, but, you know, being baby Toby, I think, opens some doors for you as well. It says also that scheduled 2014 release slot, there was a reissue of a Labyrinth novelization. There's a Labyrinth short story called Hoggle and the Worm for Free Comic Book Day in 2012. Sir Didymus's Grand Day is 2013 comic. Labyrinth 30th anniversary. There's been so much. I'm going to skip ahead. Stage adaptation. In 2016, Brian Froud expressed that he would like to see Labyrinth adapted as a stage musical with live puppetry and special effects, thinking that it wouldn't be Broadway but more about London's West End. And then, so starting in 2016, there have been discussions about a sequel. And in May 2020, Scott Derrickson, known for directing Doctor Strange, was announced as director. Since then, 2021, Jennifer Connelly has been in conversations about being involved. And then there were some questions about it being made. But as early as January of this year, 2025, it has been announced that Robert Eggers has been tapped to direct and co-write a follow-up to Labyrinth. Christopher Columbus, Eleanor Columbus, Lisa Henson are all involved as producing, along with Brian Henson executive producing. And it has also been announced that Alexander Skarsgård could potentially be taking on the role of Jareth.
Man,
lots of
typecasting.
information.
Alexander. Man. That guy's really got a niche cut out for him.
Alexander Skarsgård?
Yeah. It feels like anytime there's like a pale, svelte, like creepy, I don't want to say villain, but character. Because he did Nosferatu. And
that's Bill Skarsgård.
Oh.
You're mixing up Skarsgårds here.
I'm getting my Skarsgårds all mixed. Wait, which one was in it?
Bill Skarsgård.
That was Bill Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
It would make sense because Robert Eggers did Nosferatu for Bill Skarsgård to be having some sort of involvement.
Was Alexander Skarsgård the one who was in The Northman?
Yes.
Another Robert Eggers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, he and the Skarsgårds, they're tight. They're hella tight.
Okay. All right. I totally had them mixed up. And okay.
So,
all right.
So anyway, now, Dan.
Yeah.
What would you do with Labyrinth? That all said.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, I feel like a VR, like some type of like VR experience, especially considering the parts, like when she first goes into the labyrinth and he's like, look closer. And it's like, oh, wow, that's not a wall. I can go in there. And
yeah. Love that worm, by the way, who's just like,
oh,
no, have some tea with me and my wife.
It's like, oh, no, I'm just a worm.
Yeah, just a worm.
Actually, yeah. So, you asked me before, the worm, the worm is probably my favorite puppet character in that.
I'm a Ludo fan.
Which one was Ludo?
Ludo's the big monstery guy who can make rocks do things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ludo's cool.
I think it's sweet. I do love Sir Didymus too, but that's just because it's like a salacious, crummy fox kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Really silly. Rides a dog.
Yeah. But I think that's, I feel like, because it would be fun, especially if you, if you have the music, because what do people, it's not necessarily the story. It's more of the atmosphere,
the world,
the characters, the creations, and what's the purpose of either like remaking it or it's like that the charm, I feel like the charm of the movie is in what was made in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So I do feel like something that allows someone to enter that world.
Right.
That's enticing. That to me is an enticing idea, more so than a sequel or prequel, or especially not a remake. It's kind of iconic for what it is. It's not a perfect movie, but it's also the imperfections that make it iconic.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's honestly, I don't have anything. I mean, a stage production would be interesting.
It'd be cool.
and fun.
What? Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, and to me, that's a way where you can do it without like trying to replace the original. It's something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, clearly there's so much other stuff out there. It's hard to find something that hasn't been done or something that isn't already in the works to be done. Yeah. I do find the graphic novel story, which I have not read, of the young Jareth, very interesting, and perhaps that could be something that would be adapted. I do think that if there was an opportunity to create like an interactive live experience, something that you can, convert a warehouse into the labyrinth and like, work with whatever city you're in, the puppeteer community to kind of create an environment that is kind of like going through the labyrinth and at the end it's a David Bowie dance party or something like that.
It's like one
I
of
think
those
that kind of a thing would be fun.
Like an experience. Like I haven't been to one of these, but they did like a Stranger Things type of
what
experience.
I'm thinking is like, every Halloween there's all of these, haunted houses and places where you go in to get scared and stuff like that. But why not do one where the idea isn't to get scared? It's kind of like it's part escape room.
Yeah.
Where perhaps there's some puzzle solving and, you go through it and, there's timed entry. And then as one group leaves, they reset the room and the next group kind of goes through. And yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah. I think that would really work for something like this. So like Labyrinth themed, not just an escape room, but like an escape
experience, like a whole thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I dig that. I'd do that.
All right, so Dan, I've got something for you.
Oh,
and I want to know first if you are aware of the social media trend of blind ranking. No. So what you do is I'm going to list off for you one by one 5 different Jim Henson productions. And without knowing what the other ones are, I want you to rank where you would put this.
Okay, and this is 1 through 5?
1 through 5. You're not going to know what they are until I go through each one.
Right.
So we're going to start off with The Muppet Show. Where would you rank The Muppet Show 1 through 5? There are so many Jim Henson, and these are only ones that have taken place, while he was alive and actually actively involved with them.
Okay, and not knowing what else you are going to say, I'm going to say I'm going to say 2.
2. Love it. Okay. Sesame Street.
1.
1. Love it.
It's the only reason I didn't say 1 for Muppet Show, anticipating Sesame Street.
The Dark Crystal.
4.
4. Okay. Labyrinth.
5.
You know what? I knew you were going to say 5, but I was wondering if you were going to put something else 5. And then that means that your number 3 right there in the middle ranked Jim Henson production that I'm mentioning right now is Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay. Cool.
Do you feel like that's an appropriate ranking?
Yes.
Sesame Street, The Muppet Show, Muppets Take Manhattan, Dark Crystal, then Labyrinth?
Yes. I would potentially reverse Dark Crystal and Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh, really?
But I don't know. I've seen Dark Crystal more recently than Muppets Take Manhattan. And I mean, honestly, like, so where my mind was I was like, okay, if John Fire, like by the time we got to the last one, I was like, all right, I can live with any of those 3 Muppet movies being like ranked at number 3. I would have been very regretful if I had been left with like only 4 or 5 and you said Great Muppet Caper, and that would have just felt wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I was
I was never considering Great Muppet Caper. For me, it was between Muppets Take Manhattan and the Muppet Movie.
Right.
I mean, the Great Muppet Caper is great, but I was like, ooh, which one of these? Because I feel like those two.
Because Great Muppet Caper is, I mean, like fittingly, the it's the Empire Strikes Back of the original trilogy there.
Yeah.
The Muppet Movie is amazing and establishes so much and is wonderful for so many reasons on its own. But Great Muppet Caper is just really where it all comes together. And of course, the aforementioned legend Charles Grodin.
Yes.
Making that
amazing
appearance.
Villain.
But yeah, Muppets Take Manhattan is solid.
Muppets Take Manhattan, I feel, has the most, like, I guess the bits that I'm most fond of.
I remember it more. I think I might have seen it in the theater because that came out in like 84.
That sounds about right.
So like, I remember that one being was William Finley in that?
I don't know.
I remember Brooke Shields being in it. And I remember the whole thing where Kermit gets amnesia and changes.
So good.
His name is Philip because he's at a gas station.
No, he's not at a gas station. He's at the office building and he sees an ad.
Oh, the ad. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, it's been a while, but fond memories of that
Muppets
movie.
Take Manhattan, William Finley. I'm not seeing him in there.
Like, who's
I mean,
the male, like the live action male lead in that?
So we have
Lonnie Price. Lonnie Price
as Ronnie Crawford.
That's who I was thinking of.
Who's really fantastic.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I got Dabney
cameos from Francis Bergen, Bernie Brillstein, who was like Jim Henson's, manager, whatever. Like they were big time collaborators. Art Carney, James Coco, Dabney Coleman, of course, Elliot Gould, of course, Gregory Hines, Cyril Jenkins, Ed Koch as himself, of course.
How am I doing?
John Landis.
That's what Ed Koch used to say, kids.
David Laser, Liza Minnelli, Joan Rivers, of course.
I remember Joan.
Iconic scene.
Yeah.
Brooke Shields, also iconic in that.
Elliot
and Vincent
Gould.
Sardi Jr.
Did we say Elliot Gould already?
Yes, Elliot Gould came up before, the police officer.
You got Dabney Coleman.
Also in the Muppet movie.
Yep. So yeah, anyway, that's a great. I'm not prepared.
The Miss Piggy Joan Rivers scene is the best.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
fabulous. I'm now actually really tempted to go and watch Muppets Take Manhattan.
I might. I don't know. Directed by Frank Oz. We love ourselves some Frank Oz. Oh man, we haven't done enough Frank Oz. We need to do more Frank Oz.
Well, we've done What About Bob? We've done we did not do Little Shop, did we?
We did not do Little Shop. I feel like that is a major one that just like, I don't know. We haven't done Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Right. We have not done Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
We did Bowfinger.
We did do Right. Yeah. I was like, I thought we did
We did Death at a Funeral.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yes. Yeah. So we've done a few on the Frank Oz. You know what I always forget that he directed is the score with Robert De Niro and Edward Norton and Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Always forget that he directed. Yeah. So Death at a Funeral. Right. We did Bowfinger. We've not done In and Out.
No.
Nor have we done House Sitter, but yeah, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. That would be
Yeah, The Muppets Take Manhattan was his first solo directing credit.
On IMDb. Solo directing. Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Crystals,
Got it.
82
Was
that he
co-directed.
co-directed with Henson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and hey, speaking of, just to like put a plug out there, speaking of other Jim Henson workshop creations, it is the 35th anniversary, and it's being celebrated with a theatrical re-release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice. Cowabunga.
Yeah. And that was those turtle costumes, which are fantastic. And I'm not going to say I've seen Ninja Turtle movies since Secret of the Ooze, but I don't want to. Like, that's like, they did it perfectly. So
good.
And that's the Henson workshop right there.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Such cool work. And I highly recommend that people watch the Jim Henson documentary Idea Man, because it talks about the creation of the creature shop and how it was basically just like, oh, do you need creatures? Go here. It wasn't like we're just making these for ourselves. It was like, you can come here it was a whole like factory of just the most talented people and really doing just incredible work. And Jim Henson, just we lost him. He was 53 years old. That's so young.
And I remember that was,
and the amount that he got out there and the impact that he had that lasts to this day and well into the future, just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And look, when this new Labyrinth sequel comes out, knock on wood, it does, because I hope it does, because it sounds, Robert Eggers, come on. Like
Robert Eggers' first non-R rated movie.
What if it is R-rated?
What if it is R-rated? Oh, no.
Because
maybe.
Here's the okay, we're still talking about this. Here's the thing about Labyrinth is that yes, our kids have watched it and really like it, but it's the adults, the people who are our age that look back on this with like really strong feelings and are really excited about a Robert Eggers Alexander Skarsgård. Because if it was for kids, they'd be putting like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like, is Harry Styles like still even
Harry
the comparable
Styles
person
would be a good
I don't know if he's like fallen off too much. You know, like,
do you think Don't Worry Darling like killed his career?
I don't know. We just haven't seen much from him. I hope to see more from him soon.
Yeah.
That's all. And also in Don't Worry Darling, I don't blame him for that movie not working.
No. And that's another movie to talk about another time. I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah. I don't know, like Dua Lipa. Maybe Dua Lipa is the new Jareth.
Cynthia Erivo.
Maybe. Although
saw clips of her in Jesus Christ Superstar.
I'm thinking like pop stars, you know, like the way that David Bowie was, you know, like, do we get, I don't know, a Taylor Swifty super relevant? I mean, Taylor Swift even still, like, it's Taylor Swift 10 years ago, maybe.
As Jareth?
That's what I'm talking about, is like, look, it doesn't necessarily need to be Jareth in a sequel. It could be another ruler of the goblin underworld.
Yeah, I mean, Lady Gaga.
I feel like Lady Gaga 15, 20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Like beginning of the career, Lady Gaga.
I mean, David Bowie's, this is, 20 years into his, just about 20 years into his career.
But still as relevant at that time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know who does what now. So, I don't know.
Fair enough.
Sabrina Carpenter?
We are elderly.
That's a person.
Anyway, Dan, before you get on to what we're going to be covering in our next episode, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, hello, I'm waving. If you are only listening on all the other platforms, picture us waving. And rate, review, subscribe, follow, all of the things. We really appreciate all of the comments and the feedback that we get. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. This is a series that we're doing this third season. We are almost done with it. It's a year-long series where we're going up the alphabet, 26 episodes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then back down the alphabet, Z, Y, X, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This has been our second L episode. Dan, what are we doing for our second K episode?
All right, folks, for the Ks, we're going to 1955's Killer's Kiss, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Our first Stanley Kubrick movie. It stars Jamie Smith, Irene Kane, and Frank Silvera.
You know, I know that this is our first Kubrick movie, but hearing it out loud is shocking.
It is.
We are almost 300 episodes in.
It is shocking, and as we'll discuss on that Killer's Kiss episode, I am a huge Stanley Kubrick fan.
Oh, really? Viewers on Spotify and YouTube maybe haven't noticed the 2001 poster behind you?
Right. I mean, maybe for next week, I should just go get my Clockwork Orange poster and put that up there with it. And I don't know.
My goodness.
Do I have a Shining thing somewhere? But yeah, so really excited to talk about one of Kubrick's very first films.
Yeah, we're going to password protect it, and the password is going to be Fidelio. Todd Field, co-inventor of Big League Chew. Anyway, Dan, as you are finding your way through the labyrinth yourself and talking to cool little worms, I wish you a good journey.
Good journey.